What is the biggest challenge in managing a remote team? How do you keep your team motivated? How do you address misunderstandings in your team? Hello, my name's Ali, and in this video, we're going to discuss some questions related to the management of remote teams, and we're going to learn some vocabulary and some idioms while doing so. Let's get started with the first question. What is the biggest challenge in managing a remote team? The biggest challenge is having to wear many hats. As a manager, you not only have to oversee projects, but also support your team emotionally and technically. It's tough juggling these roles, especially when you can't walk over to someone's desk. Being proactive in communication and setting clear expectations helps a lot. Sometimes you have to be a mentor and a tech support, all while managing deadlines. I'm going to read the response part by part, and we're going to review it. The biggest challenge is having to wear many hats. To wear many hats means you have many different roles you have to fulfill. There are different responsibilities, different types of roles that you have to be in. As a manager, you not only have to oversee projects. To oversee is to supervise, to run, to manage, to be in charge of something. As a manager, you not only have to oversee projects, but also support your team emotionally and technically. It's tough juggling these roles. Tough is difficult, and juggle is when you have different tasks that you have to do at the same time. To juggle different tasks means to handle or deal with several things at the same time. It's tough juggling these roles, especially when you can't just walk over to someone's desk. You can't just go and start to talk with someone when you're working remotely and you have a remote team. Being proactive in communication and setting clear expectations helps a lot. So here we're talking about being proactive. It means you don't wait for things to happen. You are proactive. You are very active and deal with issues before they get too big. Okay, so that's the response to the first question. And in answering this question, we reviewed the phrase "to wear many hats." As I said before, to wear many hats means to have different roles. For example, to my mom, I'm a son. To my wife, I'm a husband. To my students, I'm a teacher. I have different roles. I wear many hats. Let's continue to our second question. How do you keep your remote team motivated? To boost morale, I often recognize achievements and provide positive feedback. For example, during our virtual meetings, I make sure to give shoutouts to team members who have gone above and beyond. Celebrating small wins keeps everyone in high spirits and makes them feel valued. Additionally, I encourage fun activities like virtual coffee breaks and team building games, which help maintain a lively and engaged atmosphere. Let's review the response part by part. The response starts with the phrase "to boost morale." Boost morale means to increase enthusiasm and happiness. The word morale refers to how people feel in your team, if they're satisfied, if they're excited, and if they feel happy about the work that they do. And to boost morale is to increase that happiness, to make everyone excited and happy and satisfied with their roles. That's to boost morale. So it says, in order to do that, in order to boost morale, I often recognize achievements and provide positive feedback. Yeah, this is really good point. It's talking about how you need to let people know that you appreciate the work they're doing. You need to let people know that you're happy and you see what they're doing. You see their efforts. That's called recognition. I continue with the text. For example, During our virtual meetings, I make sure to give shout outs. To give shout outs to someone is to give credit to someone and acknowledge their efforts publicly. When you say, "Oh, yeah, I see what you did. I see what you did there, and I'm going to recognize it publicly." That's to give shout outs to someone. So it says, I make sure to give shout outs to team members who have gone above and beyond. Celebrating small wins keeps everyone in high spirits and makes them feel valued. So if you celebrate the small wins, the small achievements, then you can make sure that everyone is happy. Additionally, I encourage fun activities like virtual coffee breaks and team building games, which help maintain a lively and engaged atmosphere. So that was the answer to our second question. And in answering this question, we learned the phrase boost morale, which is when you increase the level of happiness inside your team. But also we learned the phrase to give shout outs to someone. And you may remember from the previous question, we already learned the phrase to wear many hats, which is to have different roles, different responsibilities. Now we can continue to our third question. How do you address misunderstandings in your team? Let me explain a word in the question, which is address. To address something is to deal with it. You have a problem. What do you have to do with the problem? Is to deal with the problem, is to address it. It means you pay attention to it. So the question is, how do you address misunderstandings in your team? The answer is, to clear the air, I encourage open and honest communication. If there is a misunderstanding, we address it directly and respectfully. I set up one-to-one or one-on-one meetings to discuss the issue privately if needed. It's important to listen to all sides and find common ground. We also use clear and concise communication in our written messages to avoid any misinterpretation from the start. So basically the answer is, in order to make sure that there are no misunderstandings, I try to be as clear as possible. I make sure that everyone can ask the questions they need to, and we all address the problems respectfully without any issues. But I'm going to read the response part by part and we can learn some vocabulary. It says, to clear the air, I encourage open and honest communication. Here we have a phrase which is to clear the air. Clear the air means to resolve misunderstandings. So if you try to resolve misunderstandings, if you try to make sure that there are no misunderstandings, then you are clearing the air. So it says to clear the air, I encourage open and honest communication. If there is a misunderstanding, we address it directly. So as I said before, address is to deal with the problem, to try to pay attention to it and find a resolution. That's to address a problem. I set up one-on-one meetings. So we have this phrase, one-on-one meetings. It's a meeting between two people. So, and the phrase used there to talk about the planning and having and scheduling a meeting is set up. I set up one-on-one meetings to discuss the issue privately if needed. It's important to listen to all sides and find common ground. I like the phrase common ground here. Common ground is the things that you share with others. We also use clear and concise communication. So here we have the phrase concise. Concise communication. When we talk about concise communication, it means it's communication that happens with few words, but everything that's important is there. You don't avoid any part that is important. You talk about everything that is important, but you do that using few words, not using too much. So that's called concise communication. We also use clear and concise communication in our written messages to avoid any misinterpretation from the start. So that was the response to the third question about how we can address misunderstandings in our virtual teams. Okay, I hope it's been helpful for you. That's it for this video.